Oh, the overall, yeah. Right, kia ora koutou, everyone. Meeting. I have an apology from Councillor Payne. I have a Zoom from Councillor Makatamani, and everyone else in the executives here. So, can someone please? I'll move Councillor Payne. Second, Councillor Graham with an apology. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Does anyone have any urgent business or late items? Declarations of interest. Oh, yes, please. So, yeah, if you can officially note this.
So I have a conflict of interest with the first person for the audit finance risk chair. So I won't be taking
So is that the
part.
person that is talking or the other one?
It's the other one.
It's David Ward. So I
Seeing
won't.
as there's only two of them going, are pretty much exclusive from the process.
Yes,
So
it'll have to. Yeah. So
So
I won't.
Councillor Finch is acknowledging she has a conflict of interest and has excluded herself from the process of.
Shouldn't that be covered?
Public excluded.
Public excluded.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay.
Should be two. Well done, Bruce. Yep. So can you please remind me of that when we get to the public excluded? So if we can please go over to the first item, which is the confirmation of the minutes. I'll move them. Can someone please second Councillor Graham? All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Thank you. Item number 2. Christina, welcome.
Morning, should I use
No.
that? I have to hold it. Kia ora koutou. We've been busy in health and safety space. We find it really hard to articulate or report on all the really good things, good and positive things that are happening in the health and safety space across the organisation, but it's something that we are working on. We know that we're doing a good job because last year we were externally audited in this space. We undertake inspections from across our facilities and we can see continuous improvement. So, for example, one of our facilities, we've been auditing them across the year, and they have made a 9% improvement rate. So we know we're doing a really good job in certain spaces, and we know that we are making efforts to improve where we need to. We're working with the Health and Safety Committee. We are implementing different policies. We've got our new health and safety system, which is collecting data to make it easier for us to understand what's going on in our organisation. And we really want to work together as a new team to be able to reflect those things better to you, and provide better reporting as we go along. So that's one thing that we are working on. And we're also about to implement a health and safety business model, so an internal service level agreement with each of the 10 activity areas. So that's just us saying, let's work together in partnership to meet the outcomes, our health and safety outcomes together, and actually having a plan to achieve the things that we want to achieve. Where at the moment we are moving nicely along, but I think it's important that we have a plan and work together. So that will be starting on the 1st of July. Yeah, so that's health and safety. We meet as a team to review our risks this quarter, and we made some minor changes as well. And then for the major projects, category A projects, this is the last time that we'll be reporting on these exact projects, and then we will decide what the next category A projects are, and then we'll make a fresh start on that as well. And again, we're looking at trying to make the content more valuable for you and just improving how we report on that as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Christine. And just before we go to questions, look, I want to acknowledge there's been a metamorphosis of a change in health and safety. For you to say that you're doing well, no, I think the team's doing better than well. There's always going to be accidents, but the awareness and the response and the structures we've got in place is just a world apart from where we were only a short few years ago. So congratulations to the team. It is appreciated. 10 questions. Councillor Finch.
Thank you very much. Your reporting is really, really good. Do appreciate it. Thank you. On page 21, 7 were high, number of reports, 7 were high. So do you know what they were?
I do know what I can report on what they are, but I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head what they are. Okay. And they are subjective as well. So this is the reporter saying, I think that this is a high, but in my mind, it might not be.
Okay, that's fine. And on page 23, the chemicals, so your successful and proposed changes to have less. So how's that done? Is the chemicals stored off site? Sorry, number 2, that you're saying the certification and you decrease the chemical quantities on site. So are they stored off site, or is it not as much ordered? What's the story there?
Yes, so they're stored on site, and we're talking about chlorine here. And at the moment, we're using a supplier who can only supply the amount that reaches the threshold. So we're going to change suppliers that will help us supply less quantity of chlorine.
Right.
So
and
then that doesn't hit the threshold of us requiring a location compliance certificate.
Wonderful. But does that cost you more buying in less quantity?
I don't have those answers for you, sorry. Linda looks like she's standing up and she's able to help me.
Thank you. A couple more questions. Yep.
Sorry, the mic is in the back of the room. So yes, It is slightly higher cost to have the 75 kg canisters rather than the 100 kgs, but the compliance costs will be reduced considerably.
Great, that's super, thank you. And there was an experienced loss of traction. So is it four-wheel drive that were used? Are the tyres appropriate? Wheels, is the training being done properly?
I can answer that as well. It was a four-wheel drive vehicle. The tyres weren't appropriate. It's one of the actions that was highlighted in the investigation.
Right,
So those have been changed, and training has been booked for all of the people that go off-road periodically.
right.
That takes place in July.
Okay, and I still have a couple more, sorry. On page 30, economic viability for other options to Mount Kui landfill. Feasibility study will be done after the consent. Well, you've got the consent. Is it finished, the feasibility study, and is it available to us?
Can you help me with that?
No. I mean, the answer is no, because we don't have the consent approved yet.
Oh, I thought they had been, sorry. And Clinton, delay in completion for the UV units to arrive in New Zealand. Have they arrived yet? Was just that question.
No, we got told yesterday they're still on the ship.
They're still on the ship. Do you know roughly how far away the ship is?
I'm sorry, I don't.
That's fine.
Not a cruise ship though, so.
And then on page 32, risk that the upgrades won't result in full compliance. I just wondered why not? The water engineers are currently investigating. Why would they not result in a full compliance is all I just wondered.
Can you help with that?
That's quite technical. I probably don't have the complete answer. Daniel's shaking his head as well, so I have to look into that.
Okay,
I believe it's one of those things about the receiving, what's coming in.
okay,
But
yeah,
we're working with the people that designed the upgrades.
right, yeah.
It's
And
marvellous.
that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Graham, followed by Herbert.
Yeah, I've only got one question. Page 23, the three waters, on the first item number 1, the gantry assessments. This was an issue when I was working, which is at least 3 years ago. It just seems to me, it's good that it'll be done within the next 2 weeks, but it's a worry that it's taken this long. That's not really a question, it's a statement, so sorry, I have no questions.
Councillor Herbert.
Councillor Boyle was before me.
I'll just work my way around.
Okay, thank you. So thanks, Christine. Thank you for the report. Quick question on page 19. You talk about the top 3 risks there. It's physical. Can you put some context around that? Is that like physically tired or physically exhausted? Or what does physical mean?
Your physical environment. But there was a question that was raised a lot, and what we're learning is that we can put more context into when we're doing surveys to give people that was people took the question differently, but it also was the highest.
Just a suggestion. Thank you. Just a suggestion around the loss of traction on Councillor Lynch was alluding to. Just from my experience farming, I see, we have the power line people go through, and I know they have specific vehicles for the winter. They'll have a side by side or a four wheeler that they use, and they will go to your gate, and so that could be something an option. The other thing I know they're doing locally in Mar Flat, which was a great idea, they did the farmland during the summertime, and now they're doing the little towns. They're on those schemes, so they don't have to go up there. So there's ways around it, but that's just something to think about as actually specific vehicles. It's another cost, but
Linda does have options in place, and we do have like winter tyres, summer tyres, and we do have our side by side.
That's so, yeah. Doesn't matter how good your tyres are on you. It's physics, and one thing weighs 2 tonne, and one thing weighs 500 kilos. So the 2 tonne one's going to go down the hill way quicker. Thank you.
Councillor Volwela, followed by Sarah.
Councillor Herbert's probably touched on both the things I was going to raise, but just regarding that loss of traction one, do we have a policy regarding what vehicles we can use, like in the farming sector at the moment, or some big operations are actually going out of the quad bikes and four-wheelers, do we have any sort of policy on what vehicles are acceptable for our staff to use?
We have a fit for purpose guide. So per role, it says this is the kind of vehicle that you should use, but we need to get, we can improve on that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just following on page 19, Christina. So we've got physical, stress, aggressive customers. They're the only three, and I think that's a damning indictment on society in the present environment. So first, I want to acknowledge to staff the crap situation that you shouldn't be put in when you tick the three highest. So firstly, and I know that measures about workshops and the like have been undertaken. So I want to know what ongoing steps are being taken to try and mitigate against the unmitigatable. But also, I also want to put it that on a day-to-day basis, there's 15 people around here that didn't get invited to the workshops, that are under stress, get physical, get aggressive with people on a daily basis. So if there is workshops, if there is measures being put in place, can we please also have that political arm included? But can you tell me what's ongoing? Because
Sure.
that's unacceptable.
Yeah. Yes, we can invite you to any, to the workshops that are put on. And I do understand that we had invited councillors, elected members to our OPSEC training, and we have those on an ongoing basis. So we'll make sure. We also have modules like for e-learning on our on stress and aggressive customers. So that is another way that you can be involved as well, and I'm happy to send those out. In terms of stress, like our Clutha Stars program, and the way that and the things that we've done with our organisational structure should help us manage the stress. We are putting in place plans. We've got extra resources. We are working together as a team more. So that we also have e-learning modules on stress as well. With the aggressive customer, the topical topic at the moment, it relates to body cameras. So we have staff who are going into people's homes, removing dogs from people, all the things, and that is the thing that we are looking for, or the people in those roles are asking for at this stage.
Can I ask, even though I've been here, I don't, the aggression or the potentials out there for the front of staff, is the video cameras constantly there so that they're constantly protected by video monitoring?
Yes, we have video monitoring in the public space.
Yep.
But that's just a deterrent.
Yep.
So yeah, we've also changed the layout of reception, which can be improved as well, but it's a good step forward. And then we're also training our people to be able to respond in situations or de-escalate if they came into these situations. We also have a blue light system. So you'll notice the blue light over there, and if someone was to come into the reception who became aggressive, the reception staff can pull the trigger and then we activate our response.
I didn't know that. Did anyone else know that? I did not know what that light
What
was.
happens when that goes off?
Well, you don't rush in and try and do anything.
You don't.
Go the other way.
That's the idea, is to go the other way.
That's sort of bloke stuff.
Can I say though, Steve, that there's 15 people here that probably on the day when the most aggressive or the most obtuse thoughts are walking through the door. I didn't know about that light. Did anyone else?
Yeah.
We have an e-learning module on that as well. I can would love for you to review and have a look at.
So what I'm trying to get across is, Christina, firstly, we acknowledge and it's not fair that the staff is under that. It's not good enough. we need to collectively do something. We were discussing from our part, as we are being confronted, how we're sort of let it go. Well, not let it go, but yet we haven't had any structure to our response, and possibly in emboldening the obtuse thoughts. We're encouraging it. So I would love to have a workshop or a wider one so that we know from an organisation what we're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, Your Worship, the workshops on the safety side, keeping people safe, are the same ones that we did as with elected members and myself and a number of other staff. And we're putting through people that haven't done it before and highest priority areas because they're expensive and we can't afford to put the whole of this through. So we decided not to do it.
Yeah.
And that. So I'm not redoing it, for example, and that, but it's just new staff that are going through that process. That's number one. Number two, things like the blue light side of things. The whole point is that we are responsible for things, and so if that happens, we would be controlling the situation by saying we'll get you all out and exit you, because we don't want you to be part of the problem potentially when something like that occurs, right? That's that separation between operations and governance, or management and governance. That if the blue light occurred, we would be saying, okay, I'd instruct a couple of people, get you out into the car park, and then we'll address the situation here. And so that's why we haven't, like it's the same as an emergency. If emergency happens, we all know we'll go that way. We'll send you the same way. So that was for an internal thing. We've just live streamed the whole thing, so now everybody knows that we have that, and that side of things. It was more an internal response, and that's not something you sort of blast out, but that's the nature of it.
Just in response to that though, Steve, half an hour ago we were in here as a councillor only. If the light hadn't gone off, we would have thought it was a disco and started dancing, because none of us had a clue. So, for something like that, from a safety perspective, we should have been aware of it, but that's by the by. Councillor Phelps.
Thanks, Christina. I've got two things. I assume like the front counter, they would have like a means of escape as well. If, was aggression there, they would have a plan to get out and get behind a door, safe room, I guess.
Yes.
Thank you. And the second question is, in another committee meeting we've got later on, I've got a report that says there's 4 incidents in Hunter Health Safety. There's 4 incidents and 9 near hits. Doesn't drill it down, but I'm assuming that you're getting that information coming back to you to drill down on it or report on it.
Yes, so that will be part of the full information that we provide you. Yeah, as long as it's internal. If it's contractor related, then it's not.
Thank you.
Councillor Volwell.
Can I suggest sort of comment to your suggestion earlier about workshops, Your Worship, that having elected members at workshops might be just as stressful for staff as well.
Have one. All I'm saying is that, quite obviously from what we've been talking about today, Councillor Volwell, where the aggression, the confrontation, the stress, I've never seen the same here. And yet there is, if there's some assistance can be given, I'm just saying, yeah, that'd be good. Anywho, if we can go back, please, we've got a recommendation on page 16.
Happy to move.
So move, Councillor Finch, seconded Councillor Kennedy. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Thank you, Christina. Over to Sharon on page 33 for risk and assurance.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the work plan report was updated for a couple of things which I mentioned on the front. The Deloitte audit, we were meant to have the representation letter, but it's been held up. We've actually signed the representation letter for 3 years, but we didn't have the proposal for the second 2 last year. So we're just waiting on that fee proposal to come through. I haven't got it yet, but they did start the audit last week. And we've got a timetable for our final audit. And that I've put the insurance in twice, this time and next time, because we've started preliminary discussions And hopefully we'll have something to bring to you, hopefully actually before our next meeting, hopefully the 20th of June council.
Spooky old times.
Yeah.
Questions, Tim? Can I just have a clarification? You know, Lord knows we've heard enough of it about auditors and every 5 years and the like. Have I got it right that we keep the same, you know how Heidi came in, I'm trying to think what the guy's name was before her. It's the person that changes,
Correct.
not the organisation.
The Auditor General has appointed Deloitte as our audit firm. At this point, we don't get a choice in that. And then they appoint the partner from within that firm, and they have to automatically roll off.
So we're constantly getting questioned on it, so just let's be clear, nothing to do with us. The auditor appoints, we can't change it.
This is
And
Heidi.
Heidi came in to replace the, who was he? Doesn't matter, the person, so we are replacing them, but the kerfuffle that we keep giving, it's nothing to do with us, and we can't do a thing about it.
This, I believe, is Heidi's last year.
Yes, you've been around a while.
Thank you.
Any further questions to Sharon, please? If not, there's a report back there somewhere, is there? Down to
Recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sorry.
Moving the recommendation.
Thank you, councillor Wheeler, councillor Herbert, seconding. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Moving on to performance monitoring. Welcome, Trey.
Kia ora everybody. I suppose the main point is I've split out this report, so we've got the management accounts in one and the KPIs in another. Just thought that'd be a bit easier on the questions to split them out. But on the management account sides, I suppose I'm just happy to take it as read and answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Questions, please, team. Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks, Trey. Just on looking at the on page 36, we've got the rates revenue for the year, and we've pretty much hit the budget at 31 odd million dollars. But the last rates payment was due on the just a week or so ago. So that $31 million, that includes the rates that are invoiced, but not necessarily paid at that stage.
Yep, it does.
Councillor Kennedy.
Sorry, on page 38 there, see about the solid waste sales. So going forward, are we catching up with this? So there'll be an increase there?
In the LTP, there is an increase of what we're currently receiving, but there won't be an increase of budget because the budget is too high. So the budget will go down, but the actuals will hopefully go up.
Thank you. Thanks, Trey. I know the answer to part of my own question, but so my question is around on page 36, when you talk about the interest revenue and our year-to-date actuals quite a bit above what we budgeted. So my first question is, when we're doing a budget, does it kind of automatically flow over from the last year's, you know, personally I can sit at home and do it and I push a button that says push all next year's figures to, you know, to the top to the this year's figures to next year, and then you can gauge, is that what kind of happens here? Is that why we can come up with quite a discrepancy like that? No, it's the Nico. Well, the Nico one, but it doesn't add up to that if you look down the bottom, because that only accounts for 777,000 of difference when we're talking about difference of 3.5 million.
When we do the budget each year, we bring to you guys through a workshop a paper that says a budgeted interest income, a budgeted borrowing costs and stuff like that. And so we take the balance of the investments at the start of the year and roll that on like that. And so the actuals are what actually happened, and it includes realised and unrealised as well.
Yeah, I suppose it
So
highlights
it's even
what Councillor McTamney said before. It's, you know, yeah, it would be good to have a month by month, well, you know, where it actually is real, like your actuals over budget and it becomes real time, so that it shouldn't be actually that far out. The budget figure should keep up with it, you know. If you know that their interest is on that trajectory, we've budgeted this, can we not change the budget to suit? You know, it's,
Through you, Your Worship, The budget figures is what we use to set our rates and our
Yeah,
annual plan and
yeah.
every year. We can reforecast.
Yeah.
But we're required by law to report against the annual plan or long-term plan.
Yes, that's what, yeah.
But we can have two if we can do
No, I
the
understand.
forecast.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm taking from that you're satisfied, you don't.
Oh, yeah, it's just, yeah, I look at it and it's, well, I suppose I look at that and it says to me, go to refer to item D down the page. You know, and the interest revenue, and it's got D, which is your reference to go and read.
Yeah.
That accounts for 777,000 difference. The difference there is 3.4 million.
Sorry, D, that's just, since the previous update. So for, say, January's one, for example, it would have included December and November's interest. So just shortening it down a little bit, so it's not every return we've had over the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's just going to D.
But if-
Thank you.
Okay, team, any further questions, or are we heading back to that recommendation on page 35? I'm heading back. Thank you, councillor Herbert, seconded councillor Graham. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against, thank you. You're going nowhere, Trey, because you've got non-financial.
So I suppose the update for this one is I haven't done the median counts this month because I'm not convinced of the accuracy that we're doing it with at the moment. And I would rather give you 100% accurate information than 80%, then come back and tell you that I've got it wrong. Reason behind that is because we still haven't integrated the systems. I thought we had moved a bit further, but after talking to IT and having a good conversation with them, we're not where we should be. So I'd hope to have an update for you today, but all I know is there is movements. It's going to get better, but we're not 100% there yet. Outside of that, I'm happy to take questions.
Questions, Tim? Good report, actually, Trey. Straightforward enough. If there are no questions, are we going to the recommendation, please? Move councillor Graham, seconded councillor Finch. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against. Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it. Over to Linda, Daniel and Karen for the protozoal and bacterial compliance report. Welcome, Daniel.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to present the protozoa and bacterial compliance report and to take any questions that you may have about it.
Take it as read. So questions, team? Right, thank you, councillor Volwela.
Not a question actually, but it's just good to note the improvement there on page 52 and 53. Results seem to be improving. Yeah, it's pleasing.
Thank you. It's good work by the operations team.
Everybody
Sorry.
involved.
Councillor Finch.
Thank you, thank you. Page 53 and at F, Waihola and Lawrence are long-term due to inadequate barriers at the treatment plants. What is happening about that, please?
Waihola is we're still working on connecting Waihola to the Milton supply with the new pipeline. And for Lawrence, we have work going ahead to replace the UV unit that's currently in place. It's not quite, it's the wrong type of UV for the risks that we have in the source water.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's great. Thank you for that answer. That
Okay.
explains that.
Further questions, team? Daniel, more on that sort of overarching. We know what Protozoa did to Queenstown last year, or it might have been earlier this year. And like the cavalry's coming so many times. Greenfield Boar came on, Greenfield Boar Harrier, but there are other ones that haven't got the cavalry coming over the horizon. Has Mata Arawa given any indication that, hey, you're on a short string, or there's implications that we're not reading here? Because they came in pretty hot and fast with Queenstown.
That's right, and that was because that was an outbreak. So that's a slightly different situation.
got
Where
it.
they've got an outbreak that they don't know where it's coming from because the water was not adequately disinfected. It was chlorination only. So there was no barrier for protozoa. So the ones that where we do not have a protozole barrier, we have a long-term boil water notice in place. So we don't, so while it's not the greatest barrier to have, it is still something in place, as well as all of our supplies being chlorinated.
So that's the difference. They didn't have well water. Gotcha. Team, is there any further questions? If not, back to the recommendation on page 51, please. Councillor Finch, seconded by Councillor Ludeman. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Over to Linda and Greg, Three Waters. Does that mean for a 10-month report, then another 2 months, Three Waters just goes away?
That's it.
Hey, that looks like it. Yeah, what's coming up?
That's not fine, I agree, you'll have to stand at the front.
Does it just needs to turn on?
At least it's a team anyway.
So with Greg's assistance, the numbers have been put together. We've got some explanations there, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions, team? There's a lot of information there, but it's Councillor Weber.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just on page 60, it's the third bullet point, there's the RETIC contract. The overheads, what are the overheads there? Are they incurred by Andrew Haulage and Isaacs?
So that is, through you, Mr. Chair, that's their overhead staff who are in the office managing their workforce in the field, keeping records updated, arranging traffic management, plans, all of that type of thing.
And also a question, there's a comment there on page 62, we've got about halfway down there, we've got 4061, which is chemicals. So far, we've spent 65,000, whereas the budget is close to 650,000. Is there, are we making savings, or is that just a case of billing?
I think that's billing. I think it's the way that perhaps some coding has been done. We do have a
balance sheet code.
balance sheet code.
To be purchased, they get allocated out and they go to the actual plants.
Nice.
So I think there's still a bit of work to be done.
Yeah, we've got like a warehouse kind of system because we buy in bulk and then distribute out to the plants.
So
We need to do that.
So there'll be more allocation out, different, it's supposed to be a holding account out to the different cost sectors.
Through you, Your Worship, it is included though, it's in the 7930 further down with no budget. So it's still within this, it's just not been allocated from there to the 4061. So there's 1.7, about the third line from the capital expenditure, it's included in that.
I see, thank you.
Councillor Finch.
Thank you. Under page 61, repairs urban, and it's got the price of that. Will that come down, or will it be worse or better when the new pipes are all being used through the main street of Milton? And with larger pipes, will there be less pressure, so less breakage?
Through you, Mr. Chair, any renewal of pipe is generally going to have a positive impact. I don't know how much of that cost is related to Milton Main Street.
Yeah.
In terms of repairs, you'd hope that those would have been addressed by the contractors on site. But there is a correlation between replacing pipe. The cost will come down because the contractor was charging us a higher margin until February, and so there was a higher margin being charged, so it is reduced. The 6% reduction in margin kicked in from February.
Oh, okay.
So that will impact over time.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Further questions, Dan? If I can, just one, we're constantly, the vehicles on the road, and don't get me wrong, they should be on the road, they should be on the road every single day. That's far more efficient than push bikes. But I don't actually have any figures or any numbers to push back with the incessant static that's coming from it. So I presume the additional vehicles have all been down at Crown Street.
Correct.
How many? What's that? I've never been able to say, oh, for God's sake, there's 47 staff and we've got 32 vehicles. What do you expect? I don't know what the numbers are, do you?
I can get you the numbers. I
If you
think it's
could,
less
just-
than 32.
Just for a pushback for the, you know, what you really expect, but I've got no argument to it, so if you could, that'd be
I
great.
think it is 32.
Double check that.
What was it?
Around about 32,
Oh,
Is that,
Well done.
but I don't know for how many people, so, yeah, just so that, it's so plain and simple.
It is 47 as well.
47?
Hey, hell, I'm up to the casino.
Is it just for water or do you talk everything?
Yeah, I'm just to have that,
Water.
if you've got 47 staff and you've got 32 vehicles, what do you want them to be doing? Sit down, you know, the argument that they have is illogical, but just to back it up, so 47 and 32, beauty. Further questions? If not, recommendation back on page 59.
Happy to move.
Move councillor Mulwiller, seconded councillor Kennedy, all those in favour?
Aye.
Those against, thank you very much, Linda and Greg, appreciate it. Sharon, back to you. Order.
Your worship, I'll just take this as read, nothing has changed. I've asked audit about which way they want us to go with banking securities, which they seem to be quite out on, and haven't had a response yet, but we'll work through that as part of this audit that was started. I guess so, yeah, other than that, just take that as read.
Done. So nothing's changed, team, but is there anything you wish to ask of Sharon?
Happy to move.
Happy to move councillor Ludeman, seconded by councillor Graham, all those in favour?
Aye.
Those against. Greg, where were you going? Back to Greg with Treasury Management report, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, main thing to note this time with the Nico portfolio is just the decrease in the balance. And on page 71, I've just given the breakdown of what that was for. It's 6.7 million. So of that, 2.5 million was the community, including the community hub drawdown. 1.3 million was investment surplus transfers from prior years, and 2.9 million investment surplus rates offset in previous years. So that means our balance is currently now down to 25.5 million as of the end of April. Just to note as well, we did have a loss of 579k this month of April. That's unrelated to the withdrawal we made. So I checked that with my contact at Nico, and basically the explanation was that all the markets were down in April across all asset classes. And a common theme between the domestic and global markets was the reaction to sticky inflation and the timing of interest rate cuts being pushed out. So yes, that would have happened regardless of the withdrawal. With the borrowings, no change since the last time. However, that's up to the end of April, so we did have another 4 million in May, so that will show up next time as well. The other thing with, to mention with the Nico portfolio, so yes, they see basically for the 12 months ended, April, the fund is up 11.03% for those 12 months. This benchmark of 7.46%, so still a benchmark. Take us read, have you take any questions?
It's a great year. Of all the times we needed 11%, that's a good one to get it. So thank you for that. Questions, team? Just for me, just to get my figures right in my head. You know how we had, what was the actual last one? 100 at the end of the financial year, we were going to have $111 million a deal. I thought, reading that, that is the end of the year, isn't it? So that's, no, it's not.
It says on 30 April.
So in April, we're at 106, 107 almost. What that has that 111 changed? Are we now getting to somewhere else?
Through you, your worship, yes, we do. Yeah, because we have since then borrowed another 4 million and we've still got 1 more month of bills to pay to get there, or 2 more months of bills to pay really. We've got the May ones for June and the June ones in July. So we are looking at reforecasting that for a starting position for a long-term plan. Because we can't get that wrong.
Do you have a figure? No, don't have one just yet. So we get that next Thursday?
Ooh.
Well,
To be- Yeah,
I suppose it's not, it's critical to the wider argument or whatever, but
yeah, it would be after next Thursday anyway, because we'll need to make any changes that you guys agree at the decisions meeting before we can get to there. And look at the operational, how it's tracking, like around borders especially, what are we looking at for that and stuff like that.
right out. Okay, we'll leave that one alone. Further questions, Tina? If not, back to whatever page it was for the recommendation, 69. Who's going to do it? Councillor Ludman, seconded by Councillor Volwela. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Is that the end of it?
No.
No, it's not.
It's
Not by a long
page
shot.
95.
Thank you, Greg. Back to Sharon.
Through you, Your Worship, actually Skulk's going to come and talk to this one for me, please. This is one of our category A risks, is our Datascape ERT implementation, and we've been working through that over the last few months and weeks, and we just thought it timely to give you an update on where that's at. Skulk can tell you about the process.
Hello, everyone. I thought I would start off with why are we doing this and what are we doing? I think a lot of people ask that question. So what we're doing is we are upgrading our ERP, which is the ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning. That includes financials and other business line systems. Why are we doing this? One is the new technology in the market is forcing us to do this. The vendors out there are upgrading to cloud-based software. So they've given all of local government, all the vendors out there are moving towards it, and we're getting a limited time to upgrade to their solutions, or else it will be non-supported. Secondly, why are we doing this early than needed is we've signed up to how can I say, improvement program that I've negotiated with the vendor and trying to build and change things that's happening today. In the market, you would have seen these kind of software upgrades. If you've seen, there are councils that spent 151 million to date on trying to upgrade their solution. Others more reasonable to the size of our environment is looking at 20, 30, 10 million that is currently standing just to upgrade these kind of solutions. It's very risky, it's very complex, and it's really difficult to do. So what we've done is we negotiated, and through our partnership with our vendors, is seeing how can we break this cycle, because it shouldn't be like that. So we adopted with them an early adopter program to help them build a standardized kind of solutions instead of trying to over customize and make it too complex. So what we're trying to do is create a kind of standard for New Zealand base, local government, testing it in our site, seeing how it will work for us, and then helping everyone else that's coming next into this journey to make it simpler, faster, and cheaper. Or I want to say it's rather more efficient. So this is why we're doing it. So we've signed up to this early adopter program. We've already done the CRM, which is customer relationship management side of solutions that we've done with them. That is currently active in play. It was quite a challenging environment for us, helping them build a solution and what should and shouldn't be in there. But that's already currently in play. What we're doing, we've even with the solution that for budgeting and planning was actually part of the bigger picture as well, that the finance team has been able to push to help us with the LTPs. And then the next step where we are now at is implementing the financials, property, and rating solutions. So we've been working this last 5 months with the vendor in trying to create the standardized, simplified, efficient approach. There is a high risk for us in this trying to create it just because the nature of it, someone's got to do it. But the cost impact and so has been pre-negotiated already, so it's a fixed cost solution. Someone will ask us, why are we doing this? It's because we are paying around about tenth, or in some cases a fifth of the price than we should be paying. So they are basically paying us, helping them create these kind of solutions going forward. So there's a massive financial gain for us trying to drive this and change for it. The impact for us is mostly in staff time. Poor Sharon and the team has been really working hard, helping them design this, build this, make it better. It's a constant back forth improvement that we're trying to make this thing work. Again, other people have been trying this. There's lots of challenges out there that you've seen in the market. So we are approaching what we are now at the moment. As we've seen today, this week was our first time in UAT, which is user acceptance testing period. So this is the first time we'll try to see the solution in a more complete state. So we've started off on Tuesday. So this is where we're at. We're learning as we're going. There's lots of challenges, lots of problems. We're trying to iron out and get working before the go live date is aimed for the 1st of July, which is quite close and quite endeavourous at the moment. There's a possibility, of course, always. There's about, I would say, top of my head, 60 to 70% chance that we won't make the 1st of July, due to just we need to get it to a certain quality of product. But the teams are working, trying to achieve this as well, with lots of after hours work, through weekends, through public holidays. Everyone is trying, pitching in to make this work, which is really great from the team. So it's not just us from the team, it's also the vendor. They're heavily invested in this. Again, they've been putting a lot of financial support in there as well from their side to the party to make this work. So the risk is that we won't be able to achieve the 1st of July, but that is not the end of the world, because we're trying to build a solution and creating it. That's the end goal. So saving us money, making it more efficient, and not just for us, for everyone else. And we will be forced to do this anyway in 2 years' time. This time we can make the changes that we believe is right for the environment, instead of these kind of changes being forced onto us. We are now part of the process. So we're aiming for the 1st of July. We'll see if we can achieve this or not. We will know this. We've got project milestone meetings. We will have one by the end of this week. And again, we'll make a decision by the end of next week whether we can go live or not. If we don't go live, we will look at the option Bs or option Cs that we've been looking at. Financial impact, again, like I said, it's part of the agreed partnership that we've gone with the vendor, that it's a fixed price solution, and it's all about creating this kind of solutions better. There will possibly be a minor impact just on some consulting times and logistics and those kind of things, but we don't foresee any major impact. If you think about, we're already saving about 90% on the current price that everyone else, if you sign up today, there's about a couple of $1 million that we're saving. So I expect us to, if worst case scenario might be a 10% increase into what we're currently paying if we have to go to option B or option C. And that's where we're at. So we'll definitely know learning through this week. Again, the team is, I've got to have my hat off to the finance team, to the IT team, and to our vendor as well, really trying to make this impossible and want to prove to everyone else that impossible is possible, trying to be more efficient. But it's not easy. There are risks, and sometimes you've got to take these risks on to make a difference.
Thank you for that, Scott. And from my perspective, I apologise I haven't been able to assist you in the way you would have hoped.
Thank you, Brian. We miss you.
Councillor Finch.
Thank you. Well, congratulations. That's absolutely amazing. And to everybody involved in it, trying to make it happen, that's really, really looking ahead and putting the hat on. You said to make it more environmentally friendly. Can you just explain a bit more about that possibly?
So environmentally friendly, I'm always in the IT world, right? So it's cyberspace. By that I mean integrations, complexities, data movements, that kind of way. So not more in the green space, but more in the cyberspace.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Scott. Coming forward, there'll be a budgeting thing coming forward from your team. You've been quite realistic in putting your budget.
Yes, we have, I would say, very strongly efficient in it as well. We'll work through that with the staff submissions and that solutions. Yes, that is included in there. Again, we're trying to do too much with as little as possible, but we can work through that solutions as well.
That's why I was meaning being realistic.
Yes.
You can't keep cutting corners.
So it is,
Catching up.
through your worship, so as Scott says, again, it's another paper that's coming through, and one of the many papers we have, the IT space is in decisions.
Councillor Bowen.
First, can I just suggest that his worship kept his nose out of it was probably more of an assistance than you imagined. But I hope when you appreciate the extra work that you're going through, the whole team's going through this very busy time, and I hope that when this is going to be adopted, that it's actually find savings in time and staff time and effort in that we've got it up and running.
Thank you, Councillor.
Your worship, I just wonder, because Sharon hasn't said anything, but she's on the receiving end as well and all that. And it might be useful just to get her impression about, is it worth all the work that she's doing? Why are they doing this? If that was the case.
Okay, thank you. Through your worship, there's 10 of us in the finance team that are involved in this, all in different wee areas, and it's such a different way of operating compared to what we're using day to day. So that's been a real challenge. But you can see so many efficiencies for the wider team as well. Like finance people love numbers, right? But the engineers do not. Or they want to pay a bill, they don't want to have to look up where to put it. There's a lot of efficiencies. They can just start typing the word and it'll pop up, things like that. So it's going to save time everywhere, I think, and I think it's also going to save us having to go and move that from there to there once we get it bedded down and the education out there and stuff. But yeah, it's certainly a challenge, and it's certainly a new way of thinking and a lot of learning, and we're still building, and we're going to be building for the next year probably, Skulk.
Yes, it's a continuous improvement journey. So this is a foundation for us to build it. The technology is quite adaptive. That's the gains in using the new age technology. It's quite adaptive. We keep on building. This is never, someone asked me the other day about digital transformation. Do you know you're done? And my answer was simply, you're never done. Once you understand that this is a journey that you've adopted about driving efficiency, change, constant review process, and trying things, that's when you're on the right track. So there's no end goal in sight.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot with the long-term plan and stuff as well. So we've been really mindful of that, and like keeping an eye out for each other. And if you need a hand,
Well done.
we shall see.
Right, any further questions, Tim? If not, thank you, Scott. As always, thorough presentation, appreciate it. Recommendation, move please, someone, move Councillor Herbert, second, Councillor Bolwell. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against?
No, you're just going to public exclusion.
Sorry?
You're just moving to public exclusion.
Yeah, so I need someone, you see that, I've actually got to change it to report number 11. It has got 12, but it's number 11 there, that we move into public excluded. Can move Councillor Finch, seconded Councillor Kennedy. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against, thank you. I might change the order. We may as well get the